the chat. It's super fun to see where everybody is from. We here at RIF are based in Washington, D.C., so that's where I currently am. My name is Carly. I am the content developer here at RIF. I am a former educator and former reading specialist. Well, I still practice as a reading specialist through some clients as well as through the content I get to create for RIF. So I'm super excited to be here with you all today to introduce you to our updated literacy tracker. This is a tool that I really wish I had when I was in the classroom. So I'm really excited to share what it offers, as well as what other resources we offer that accompany it so that you can start to use it right away. And before we get started, I just want to let you know that this webinar is being recorded. It will live on our website with the rest of our webinars that are archived. And please wait for about 48 hours to get all of the resources that are shared, as well as the link to the recording that you can share with anybody who missed it, as well as you can view our other webinars that are recorded and see if anything else interests you. So thank you for joining. We are going to get started. So just some housekeeping tips and tools. So the first thing, I'm not sure who here is familiar with Padlet. If you've joined our other webinars, we have used it before, so you'll be familiar. But if you aren't, Padlet is a super cool tool that we can use digitally to be able to interact. These are interactive webinars. We look at it like an 80-20 model. So for the most part, you will be hearing about our tool as well as viewing our resources, but then there will be an opportunity for you to practice using the tool as well as hear some feedback from others. And we do that through Padlet. So throughout the presentation, you'll see some barcodes. I'll also drop links in chats for those of you that aren't that comfortable using barcodes. And then this is a little example of what the Padlet will look like. And you'll click this little plus, and then you'll answer whatever the prompt is. I'll remind you all how to use those throughout. There also is a Q&A box at the bottom, as well as a chat feature. If you're familiar with Zoom, you should know this by now. But disclaimer, I am by myself tonight on this webinar. So if you are using the Q&A feature or the chat feature, just please be patient with getting a response. I will get to all of them by the end, hopefully. So our agenda for today, we already kind of did our housekeeping. We'll go through our norms and agenda. We'll introduce a literacy tracker. We'll practice analyzing some student data. You'll hear a little bit about resources that we offer and then what webinars are upcoming as well. So here are our norms. This is how we start every professional webinar that we facilitate here, especially in our new series, Every Educator Counts. So these are the norms that are adapted from Margaret Wheatley's Art of Conversation. So I'm not going to read them all because I know you can read yourselves. So take about 30-ish seconds to just review the norms and think about which one will you carry with you throughout today's session. And then you can use that chat feature to just type the number of whichever one resonates with you and then you commit to holding throughout this session. So I'll give us about 30 seconds to review and share, and I will also share. Threes, fours, threes. We're definitely going to have time to reflect. So for those of you that are picking 4, definitely. And definitely for those of you that are picking 3 as well, we're going to get a chance to hear from others. So, ooh, 5, that's a good one too. 3, 3. Take about 10, 15 more seconds if you haven't shared yet. I'm also going to say 4. And mostly because literacy tracker, I breathe literacy tracker in and out on the daily. So I really want to take this time that I'm spending with you all to slow down and actually reflect a little bit more than just going through the motions of what I typically do. So thank you all for taking a moment to share those. All right, so let's dive into the good stuff. So what is our literacy tracker? So literacy tracker is our free and easy to use tool. It's not new. We had it last year, but it's freshly adapted and updated with new graphics, new content, and it's our tool to help you check in on your students' reading progress throughout the year and help students find those just right books matched to both their interests and reading level. So that's really, really important. Especially to us at RIF, we're all about choice. Choice and access equals engagement. So really giving students the book list that they want to see based off of what interest they check that they enjoy and whatever reading level they produce their work at. So we'll get to look at what this actually looks like and what this means. But just as an overview, in these reading challenges that students will work through, they'll read passages and they can indicate which words they found difficult throughout. The literacy tracker will adapt the level of difficulty to the passage so that families and educators can see student progress over time. Students can also see their data. The literacy tracker provides reports on students' reading skills to inform your instructional decisions. Access to your students is tied to your account, and information is never shared beyond your account. So whoever you add to your own account will never be shared. And then you can also add parents and families to these two students' profiles so they can see the progress as well. I'm going to pause for a second to drop a link in the chat if I can copy and paste this. So maybe not, but it's not letting me copy and paste at the moment. But if you scan that barcode, it will take you to our complete literacy tracker user guide, which will kind of be a good resource after this to refer back to see whatever we went through, as well as screenshots and videos to guide you throughout the process. So I'll include that in the follow-up, but if you want to start looking now, you can look at that barcode right there. But we're going to talk a lot about what this means. So here's an example of what the students will see. So this big picture where it says Dragon at Dawn, this is a screenshot of the passage. So if you'll see throughout the passage, this student highlighted appellation. They might have not known what that word was. Maybe they also didn't know the word stomach. So as you're going throughout, students can actually physically click this term, whatever the term is, and it will save it as an unknown term, and it will show the teacher at the end that they highlighted those as an unknown term. And then I also mentioned interest levels because that's really, really important. So before students start their reading journey, they will be presented with all of these topics, and these coming soon topics are actually updated now, which is really exciting. So we have 2 new topics called family and feelings. So all these topics will be introduced to students, and we'll ask them just in this student-friendly picture right here. We'll say, what interests you? What would you like to read about? So after the student performs, it will give them a book list that is custom to their Lexile level and their interests. So in order to load the students, my dog, live Zoom, am I right? But as you're loading students, when you first start the platform, you will put whether, let's say I'm a 5th grade teacher and it's the beginning of the year, I know based off previous year's data that they're either like kind of above, at, or below. It's very general once you insert. And let's say my student Roman here, I put him as 5th grade at when he started, but then now he's at 6th grade above. So you'll be able to see like their progress on here as well. And then when you click reading report, it will print out a custom reading report for the child, and it will show all of their reading reports from every passage that they have done. So for the example, for the purpose of today, I just included 1, but if I clicked on Roman's report, I would be able to see all of his reports. So I can kind of see to like, if he, maybe he was reading for 10 seconds before he went to the next one. So that kind of gives me an indicator of why he might have dropped, and it's not actually that he might have dropped. We'll see kind of what each of this will tell us and how we can use this data to inform our instruction in a moment. But this is kind of an overview of what the report looks like and kind of what the book list looks like as well. So you'll see here Roman chose adventure. And after Roman took the reading assessment, it linked him to suggested books. And Roman can click on this book and it will take him to our Literacy Central page where it will have resources for the book, as well as a little summary about what it is about. So that's just a little bit of a preview, but we are going to dive deeper into what all of this looks like. So let's take a look at this example student data. So this student, they took an assessment on August 22nd. They spent 1 minute and 5 seconds reading. This was the passage they read. It says second above funny. The students don't see that. That is just for us to know what grade level we put in for them, and then what whether it was at, below, or above that they read, and then whatever topic they read. So you can also, it's hyperlinked, so you can click it and the teacher can see it and remind themselves what the passage was about. Here, it also tells you the grade level here. The total words, this is for Bean, not Roman, excuse me. Bean thought that they felt they didn't know they knew all of the words. They didn't click any of their vocabulary words, but this is where it would show up here. And then the quiz results at the bottom. So each reading passage has 4 comprehension questions, 2 literal questions, and 2 inferential questions. So the literal questions are always presented first, and kind of give students a little bit more of confidence because they tend to be a little bit easier to grasp because they're right in the text. And then they'll be asked to answer 2 inferential questions. So you can see here, Bean got 50% of the questions correct. He got both literal questions correct, but he got 0 inferential questions correct. So when I'm looking at this report, it might tell me that Bean needs some support with literal versus inferential questions. Take an example, a look at another example. So this is for Frankie. Frankie took a test on this date. She spent 1 minute and 10 seconds. Snow day, second below. And she selected 6 words. And then it also tells me the words that she selected. Buzz, white, whoosh, went, collapsed, warmed. And then it also tells me her quiz results down here. So 2 things I can see here, right? Maybe the words selected, she selected a lot of words. So maybe, I'm looking at these and like buzz is more of like a tier 2 vocabulary word. Whoosh has some phonetic patterns, the same as white. So maybe that can tell me a little bit about the WH digraph that they struggle with. So those 6 selected words can really tell me a little bit about that student. And then my favorite, this looks really complicated, but bear with me. It's just actually a tool that I use to calculate word count per minute that I wanted to share with you all. So that's what this barcode will take you to. But I really like to use this word count per minute calculator because if you've ever tried to use the formula for word count per minute, I don't know. I'm a literacy person, not a math person. It really stresses me out. So it's really great to just be able to use this calculator and input everything here. So the first thing it will ask you, what was the total number of words? It's this 256, that's how many words were in the passages. Total number of mistakes. I mean, this is kind of a judgment here, right? Because maybe the student was independently using this. You can, of course, use it to test students' fluency and reading out loud, but this is more so used to be an independent assessment tool. We are looking, of course, always ways to enhance, and hopefully one day we'll have that feature where we can record students' reading so we can refer back to it later, but unfortunately right now we don't have that. So this is kind of just a good way to get an idea of the mistakes, because I know that they selected 5 words, so they probably at least had those 5 mistakes, right? And then the time here was 1:37, and then it will spit out a word count per minute. And then you can use the oral reading fluency data chart to see where your student should be. So my student Olive is in 5th grade. I gave this to her at the beginning of the school year, and her word count per minute was 155. She's doing pretty okay. She's in the 75th percentile, or right above the 75th percentile. So just this simple report can also give you some insight into their fluency as well. All right, so we're going to jump into a little opportunity for you all to practice. So we're going to go through 3 fictional students. You're going to review the data on your fictional student. I'm going to show you on the screen. It's going to be a report just like I showed you. And then on the Padlet, I want you to answer, what is a skill that they need to work on? And what is a teaching strategy to support this skill? So for example, I'm gonna give you like 30 seconds to either scan this barcode, or I will also share the link in the chat to the Padlet. It's going to take you to, I'm gonna switch my share screen here. Where is my Padlet? You know what? I'm going to show the whole screen so that we can see both. Here we are. All right, so we'll take you to Celeste. So I'll switch back so you can see her data in a moment, but this is what your Padlet will look like. So I'm going to leave the data up there for a minute. And again, you are answering what is a skill that they need to work on, as well as what is a teaching strategy to support this skill. So I'm going to leave Celeste's data up there for a few minutes. And Kathleen, to answer your question, I'm just going to do it off mute. Yes, it will give you a printable list as well. So you can just click at the top, like print this list, and it will give you like an overview. And that's also a really good tool to give families because clearly the students indicated that that was their interest and this is how they're performing in class. So it's a really good tool to also give families as a suggested book list. So to answer your question, in short, yes, it will give a sample list that you can print as well as students can slide through. Oh, wait. I'm going to share both side by side. Give me one moment. Reshare that so you all can see. And I'm going to investigate the Padlets. Let's see what you all are saying Celeste needs work on. Oh yeah, she definitely needs support with inferential questions. She only got one correct. So yeah, she definitely needs to work on that. What is something that we as teachers can do to support her inferential comprehension needs? And here's the link in the chat for those of you that are like, hey, I don't want it. There it is. Sorry about that. The link is, oh my gosh, I'm a mess, y'all. I was sending it to hosts and panelists. I'm so sorry. There it is. Whew. Apologies. And I did something, there we go. Now we can see both. Look at that. Awesome. Multisyllabic words, yes, for sure. These are really large words. These are awesome skills. What are some teaching strategies to support? People are being shy. I'll give you all a couple more seconds. I will show you some examples. I won't make you all do the heavy lifting yourselves, don't worry. Word splits, yep, roots and affixes for sure. Letter combos. Yeah, awesome. You guys are right on. So I'll show you. Ooh, hold on. Let me make sure you can still see here. Yes. All right, perfect. So some of you already said some of these things. So inferential questions, vocabulary. So I heard a lot of you say like phonics instruction, absolutely. But these are kind of really specific vocabulary terms as well. So maybe they need some explicit vocabulary instruction. And then you can also look at their fluency and word count per minute there. And here is the link to the literacy tracker guide. Thank you all for holding me accountable here. And again, don't worry, all of this stuff will come to you, I promise. Usually there's two of us on here, but you know, my lovely, beautiful boss is on maternity leave, so managing the chat and the facilitation. So thank you for your patience. All right, awesome. So let's do another one. So I have another student, Demelin, and here's what her report. I've shared two reports, so you have a little bit more data to go off of here. So you can look at either one or two. So what is a skill that they need to work on? / what is a teaching strategy to support? And I will put the link for Demolin in the chat and actually send it to you all. There it is. I'll also put the barcode there for like 15 seconds if you're a barcode person. Okay, I'm going to recover the barcode so you can see her data. I forgot what it was like to teach during the pandemic, y'all, this virtual stuff, but we're making it through. All right, so 2 reading reports. Demolin is either in 7th or 8th grade. Yep, 7th or 8th grade. And I know this because I can see 7th above, 8 below. I didn't make Demolin myself, so I can't remember if I put her in as 7th or 8th, but we can see here that I either put in 7th or 8th. I don't remember where she started, but at this point, she's either in 7th or 8th grade. I absolutely can. Oh my gosh, I got a question about explicit and direct instruction. Yes. So an example of, especially because I was talking about vocabulary before. So an example of vocabulary, explicit instruction for vocabulary is, let's say you're doing a read aloud, right? So you're building background knowledge, you're giving students an introduction to what the book is about, but you also need to specifically tell them what some vocabulary words are because they might not know them through context clues. So there are definitely words that students can figure out based off of their own background knowledge, as well as using the text to help them understand a word. But sometimes vocabulary needs to just be explicitly taught to students so that they understand. Like, for example, let's look at these words since we're talking about it, right? So the word heavens here, like, that's not a word that students will often use in their vocabulary. So they might need to be told that that's something a little bit specific. It's not something that they can use every day. So it's just not something that they might not know right away. So when you're explicitly teaching something, you're giving it to the student directly, and you're, especially when it comes to vocabulary, you're giving it to them directly. You're welcome. All right, so let's see what we got. Fluency, definitely. Again, multisyllabic words, vocabulary, definitely. I love the use of read alouds for word recognition. I totally agree. You know the word, but you might not know what it looks like. You've heard it before, you know what it means, but you don't know how to lift it off the page, and that's not going to do you any justice. Thank you, LaToya, I appreciate it. Repeated readings, absolutely, especially for, I mean, any grade really, but especially K-5, those repeated readings. But then when you get to those older kids, definitely there too, especially for those heavy informational texts or those really heavy detailed texts, those repeated readings focusing on different things at different time can really be helpful. Yes, exactly. All right, you all did a great job. So you kind of already said everything that I said, but I also thought of comprehension. Looks like they could use support with literal and inferential here. So maybe tackling one at a time, starting with literal, because it's usually a little bit easier for students, and then moving to inferential. And then, yep, you guys already said multisyllabic words, different vowels, vowel digraphs, spelling patterns. Absolutely. You said even more than I did. So great. All right, one more student, Miguel. So Miguel is in 7th grade. He's another middle schooler. And I'm going to leave the barcode up there for a second. I'm also going to drop Miguel's link in the chat for you. There it is. I'm getting a little faster at this. And then in a second, I will pull up Miguel's Padlet right next to the data so we can see it together like we've been doing. And again, Miguel is in 7th grade. All right. There's that. Love to see what you all are saying in real time. there's something on Miguel's report that we haven't really talked about. I'm curious to see if anyone catches it. We kind of talked about it, but I don't know if I specifically said this in this way. So subject area vocab. Yeah, for sure. To be fair, a lot of these words are even like, I have to really decode them and break them apart. So yeah, background knowledge is going to be crucial here on medieval times. I mean, I'm assuming, and hey, we don't want to assume, but I'm assuming that Miguel probably chose like adventure or fantasy as his interest. So maybe he already has some background knowledge. That's kind of the idea here. Prefixes, suffix. Yep. Lots of similar things, but there is one thing that we haven't really talked about yet that I'm curious to see if anyone catches it. Yeah, word parts, definitely. Like para. Oop, no one said it yet. I'll give us 15 more seconds. All right. Okay, so you all said a lot of things that I was going to say, but this is the one that I was going to point out before. It only took Miguel 52 seconds to read this passage. It's very possible that Miguel rushed. I mean, maybe, I don't know, 3:49 and 52 seconds is not terrible, but it seems like he could have slowed down a little bit here. So reading too fast, this time can really help us. Something I forgot to mention that is actually a really helpful tool to support students from not reading that fast. If you try to answer a question within too short of a time period, it will pop up and say, are you sure you read a little bit too fast or whatever, something like that. So it does try to stop the students from doing that. But, 52 seconds is long enough where the student could have read it. But if they try to jump straight to the question, it will be like, no, go back. So it's a really cool tool. And again, vocab, background knowledge, comprehension here, definitely. Awesome. Thank you all. So we did a lot. We talked about a lot today, but there's always more, right? So we talked a lot about the literacy tracker tool itself, but wanted to pause here to highlight some other resources that we do offer that can accompany data that you collect from Literacy Central, from Literacy Tracker, too many literacy terms. So on Literacy Central, on this website right here, rift.org/literacy central, if you search for a book, you can find any title that we offer and any resources that are accompanying that title. So we offer anticipation guides, vocabulary guides, Frere models, puzzles to support vocabulary. For a lot of our books, we have discussion guides, so you can use them as read aloud tools. We have a whole graphic organizer collection. So we have Venn diagrams, figurative language charts, lots of other things. And then I linked the literacy tracker like big demo page here, and I'm going to show you, if I can get my screen here, what this page looks like and how it will support you. So when you click on the literacy tracker like landing page, it will tell you everything we went over today in a very short version, give you a little bit of screenshots, but then down here, it'll say for a detailed overview, if you click Literacy Tracker User Guide, it's the user guide that I shared with you all before. And then we also have a tutorial video that dives deeper into the mechanics of how to actually upload your roster and all that. It's really, really straightforward. So I didn't want to spend the time doing that with you all today. I really wanted to spend the time with how can we use this information in our instruction. But I did want to point out that there is a tutorial video. It will take you to our Vimeo page, and it is an entire demo of signing up for an account to everything we went over today. So that's another really great tool if you find yourself struggling with onboarding your students and all of the mechanics of Literacy Tracker. Let me bring this back up. All right, and that did not take the whole hour. I didn't think it would, but I wanted to stick on to see if anybody had any specific questions. Of course, I will drop the link to Literacy Central in a moment. But we do have another webinar coming up on October 25th in our Every Educator Counts series called Who We Are, Storytelling as Cultural Responsive Pedagogy. So just for a little preview, our Every Educator Counts series for this entire year is focusing on family engagement support. So all of the remaining of our Every Educator Counts webinars that we already have planned out are once a month webinars are aimed at helping educators and any school admin support families and how to support their own family engagement practices. And please share this resource with anybody that you think would love to learn a little bit more about our tool. I have a question in the chat. Can non-readers use Literacy Central assessments like kindergartens? Yes, absolutely. So it does start it's fully functioning for 1st through 8th grade, meaning our author who writes those passages writes them starting at a 1st grade level to an 8th grade level. So while you can, of course, use the literacy tracker tool for younger grades, we find that most of the purpose of gaining the instruction from literacy tracker is aimed towards starting at 1st grade. But like I mentioned earlier, if we do hopefully enhance it with all of those things that we're looking to do, such as recording features and all of that fun stuff, then we can aim it towards younger kids as well. All right, so before I forget, let me drop the literacy tracker link, the Literacy Central link for those of you that really want it right now before you log off. And then I do see there's some other questions, so I will answer them in one moment. I can get the chat here. Okay. Here is rif.org/literacy central. Latoya, after answering questions, does the system give the students the answers? Great question. It doesn't give them the correct answer, but if they get the incorrect answer, it will tell them to try again. That is something I absolutely should have mentioned. I do apologize for not mentioning that earlier. But yeah, if the student goes to answer the first question, if it's wrong, it won't let them move on. It will encourage them to try again. It won't tell them the correct answer. And then in the report for the teacher, it will only show them what their first attempt was. So if they got it incorrect, it will show that they got it incorrect. But it does give students an opportunity to try again because of course, we don't want to discourage them. We want them to try again. Hopefully that answers that for you. Yes, resources are free. Everything we do here at RIF that we provide for you all is free. We are a nonprofit. We are small, but we are very mighty. So yes, everything is free. Yeah, I told you when I was a first-year teacher, I would have loved to have. Well, let me tell you, RIF has been around since the 60s, so it was there. I just didn't know about it. So I'm really excited to transition out of the classroom and be here at RIF because it's really giving me an opportunity to share these resources with other educators that I wish I would have had. So I'm happy that you enjoyed. I do see a hand raised. Alvaro, I'm going to allow you to talk. I'm sorry, I didn't see how long you had that raised. I'm really sorry, but hopefully you can answer now.
Oh, no, I just raised it by mistake. I was trying to get to the chat or the question and answer. So
okay, no worries. Great. I just wanted to make sure you didn't have a question. No problem. I'm gonna remove your hand.
Thank you.
No problem. One more thing. Well, yes. So we just asked that you give us about 48 hours. Our digital team works really fast, so you could probably expect it within the next 24 hours, but we do like to say, give us at least 48 hours to get it up to our website, as well as all of these PDFs and resources turned into links so that you all can have access to them. And if there are no other questions, you are all free to enjoy your lovely weekend. Oh, well, thank you. That's really sweet. I was sweating a little bit, but I appreciate it. Thank you. And I will see you all in October, hopefully. Thank you all.